Alright guys, I got the spindles out of that four-wheel tractor and kind of get a little bit of a look at them as after you get them out. These U-joints in here, this end of the U-joint actually holds the spindle in. So I definitely gotta get this U-joint out of here because since there's no axle in it, it's loose in there. But maybe torch them off, or maybe make something else that goes on here to hold that spindle in, and then I could use these for the steering like I talked about earlier. But but some of the benefits of using these, I'd have to make my own, as I had to go buy some kind of C channel or something to make this shape right here. And so I'm gaining a lot of things by using these. And also there's probably some kind of bushing in here. I seen a grease zerk on it. Right there's a grease zerk to oil the bearing, and it's in there. I would assume there's some kind of bearing in there. It might be a bushing as well, but either way. They are kind of heavy. That's the only thing kind of about it. It is heavy. Like I said, I'm gonna have to make, imagine this is the front end at its width. Just imagine it. I'm gonna have to make an angle iron or two box frame box, for these to bolt to, or maybe I could run the frame underneath these and bolt it to this, or a matter of both, maybe. So I might build it. Well, it's either that, or I'd probably have to run the frame on top and bottom of it for it to be strong enough, so that it's not. Then I have to see how close the wheel comes to this bolt up. Of course, it missed it on the tractor, so that's where it bolted to the tractor. Alright, playing around with these wheels a little bit, kind of get some start off dimensions and some ideas. Fastening these to the frame, I think I came up with what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut these off right here. These are actually pretty heavy. This is like a cast steel or maybe even iron, I don't know. But cut these off right here, and then get some like 1.5 by 1.5 angle iron, and it would take 4 pieces, but build a box that goes around this. Like, there'll be a piece here, a piece here, and a piece here, and a piece here on the bottom. Weld them all together, and then this will slide into the end of it and get bolted in, and then I'll have like a box that I could build my frame off of. When you turn the wheel, this might all fall down, but when you turn the wheel, if I was to try to run a frame directly underneath this, it would make it so I wouldn't have a whole lot of turning ability. The tire would run into the frame if I had a frame going straight up into this. So kind of looking at making a box that goes across. And the back, basically I'm just trying to figure out the axle length. Pretty much measure from this edge to the other edge, and then I gotta figure out how deep this is to know how much the axle needs to be longer on each end, minus what it is from here to the other side. And then to get my axle width. Right now it is sitting at 4 feet, and that's including the bulge of the tire. So that's how wide it'll be. The footprint of this thing is going to be like the size of a sheet of plywood is what I'm looking at. give or take a few inches. But, well, if you cut those off, I'm gonna have to go get more material because the material I have is not gonna be able to do this. Alright, since the last take, I went home and was kind of thinking about this, and was kind of looking at some other go-karts, and all they have is just a pipe or, you know, a piece of square tube or whatever just running across to each one of these you know, spindles. So what I came up with is, and I cut it off just like before, cut it off right along the edge of this face, and then put angle on top and bottom, you know, drilled out to fit this, and then I'll just weld these, you know, weld this to this, and then the original bolts that, you know, fits in here to bolt it into the tractor, I'll just go in there. But right now I leveled it all up with a level, you know, to make sure I can get the right distance between the two. And alright, we'll drill these out and get ready to weld that up. Well, I got those ends cut off, and I can tell you for sure that this stuff, these pieces here, is cast iron. I can just tell by the way it chipped whenever I was cutting it, and the smell that comes off of it when you cut it. I also got those U-joints out, and what holds them in is a little a pin. It just hammers in and hammers out, and there's splines on the end. You see where the pin slides past. So what I'm going to do is make little sleeves that, you know, measure this here, make little sleeves that press down on it, and then this is hardened steel, so I'll just weld the end of the sleeve and this together, you know, once, you know, it's all installed, and they'll never come off. And there is no bearing in this, which it doesn't really need it, because cast iron and hardened steel, as long as you keep it lubricated, it'll just go and go forever. So, you know, this will work just fine for a go-kart. So, and then my U-joints are available now for the steering. I'll have to turn down like a bar or something like that, and, you know, stick it in here. These are going to be hardened, or not hardened, cast steel, so I will be able to weld it and just fit the, you know, the steering shaft down in it and weld it up. It'll never be able to come back apart once it's all welded up, but, you know, that's just the way it's going to have to be. But I think I'll cut this off here, and I need to go to a drill press and to drill these little metal pieces out, so, you know, so that they're exact fit to the spindles. So I'll catch you guys later. Well, I got the front and rear axle completed. The back one is, you know, 3/4 inch to fit these wheels, and keyed. So you just stick a key in there, and then it's tapped on the end, so you just put a washer and a nut on it. It holds it in, and I'm amazed of how these things turned out almost identically in length. You know, given that they're, you know, two different setups, you had to make them completely separate. Turned out almost exact. Here's those universals that came out of them spindles, and they cleaned up real nice. I'm about to use these for the steering, and then I got to thinking about it. I do have two splined axle ends that was on the tractor. I just gotta go out and cut them off. I might well take the whole rear end apart, and I might have splined ends on both ends of those axles, which would give me, you know, 4 ends that's splined. But you know, whether or not the other end is the same spline as this, I don't know. And then the front, when I clean these up, it has brass bushings here and where the spindle goes in. It's all brass. You just couldn't tell when it was all dirty. And then I think these look pretty good in here. You know, once you put the wheel on and everything, these things don't look too ridiculous. You know, like because they're big and heavy. It is kind of heavy. I would say this wheel and axle and all is probably 80 pounds. 60, 80 pounds. And then when I welded on these angle irons to the end of this tube, I really didn't like the look of it. It didn't look heavy enough. So I just, you know, put these gussets in here, and I really think it made a nice finished touch, and it's going to be stronger with them in. So, you know, all I got to do is just build my frame off of this, and got a place for my tire rod to hook up. You know, so we're all set up. So up next, I'm going to work on a rear swing arm. I'm going to put rear suspension on this thing. I'm not going to have front, but it's going to have rear. The swing arm is going to be the motor mount as well. The motor is going to sit on the swing arm. And I'll see you guys next time on that.